The Stargate activation klaxon echoed through Cheyenne Mountain's reinforced corridors, pulling every SGC personnel to battle-ready alertness. In the control room, Chief Master Sergeant Walter Harriman's fingers flew across his console as the inner ring of the massive alien device began rotating with its characteristic grinding hum. Chevron after chevron locked into place, each mechanical clunk reverberating through 28 levels of concrete and steel, encoding an address no one had dialed. "Unscheduled off-world activation," Walter announced, his voice cutting through the organized chaos. General George Hammond strode to the window overlooking the gate room, hands clasped behind his back in the posture of a man who'd seen too many surprises emerge from that circular threshold between worlds. Behind him, technicians scrambled to confirm what their instruments already screamed: this wasn't their wormhole. Someone, or something, was dialing in. "IDC?" Hammond's gravelly voice demanded. "Negative, sir. No recognition code. Address is—" Walter's confusion bled into his professionalism. "Sir, it's not in our database. Not even close to any known Stargate address." The seventh chevron locked with finality. The event horizon exploded outward in its familiar kawoosh of shimmering blue energy before settling into the rippling vertical puddle that connected Earth to thousands of worlds across the galaxy. The iris, titanium barrier positioned 3 micrometers from the event horizon, remained closed. Whatever tried to rematerialize would hit that barrier at the molecular level and simply cease to exist. Except the iris was screaming. Metal shrieked against impossible force. Sparks cascaded from the reinforced barrier as something on the other side pushed through the supposedly impenetrable defense. Not bypassing it. Not using a GDO transmitter. Simply forcing its way into existence through sheer mass and momentum. "Iris structural integrity failing," a technician shouted. "Close the—" Hammond began, but physics had already made the choice. With a tortured groan of collapsing titanium, a section of the iris buckled inward. A figure stumbled through the event horizon and crashed to the concrete ramp in a shower of metallic debris and dissipating energy. The Stargate shut down behind it. The sudden silence felt louder than the klaxons. SG-1 and SG-3 materialized from the corridor within seconds, P-90 submachine guns trained on the motionless form. Colonel Jack O'Neill took point, weapon steady, his expression mixing tactical assessment with the weary annoyance of a man whose lunch break had just been thoroughly ruined. "Well," O'Neill muttered. "That's new." The figure stirred. Servos whined. Hydraulics hissed. It rose in segments. Legs locking into position, torso straightening with mechanical precision, head tilting upward to reveal a helmet-enclosed face that looked simultaneously human and utterly other. Standing at full height, the armored form towered over even TLC. Titanium composite plating covered every surface, gunmetal gray and built like a walking tank. The visor turned slowly, scanning the gate room with targeting systems that painted red tracking lasers across blast doors and defensive positions. "Federal officer," the figure stated. Its voice emerged flat, synthesized, each word precisely calibrated. "Identify yourselves and this facility." 20 weapons didn't waver. O'Neill's eyebrow climbed toward his regulation haircut. "Yeah, that's not how this works. You're on a United States Air Force installation, and you just destroyed federal property breaking in." He gestured with his P-90. "So how about you power down the RoboCop routine and—" The figure's head snapped toward O'Neill with inhuman speed. "RoboCop. Cybernetic Peace Officer, OCP Crime Prevention Unit 001. Officer Alex Murphy, Detroit Police Department badge number." A pause, barely perceptible. Something flickered behind that visor. Confusion, perhaps, or the cybernetic equivalent of pain. "Badge number 457. Detroit Metro West." "This is not Detroit." "Detroit?" Major Samantha Carter lowered her weapon fractionally, scientific curiosity warring with tactical sense. "Sir, that armor's composition. I'm reading advanced polymers, titanium alloy, and something else. The energy signature doesn't match any known." Major. Hammond's voice carried the weight of command as he descended the control room stairs. The general approached with the confidence of a man who'd negotiated with Goa'uld System Lords and lived. Stand down, SG teams. Maintain perimeter. He stopped 10 feet from the cybernetic officer. I'm General George Hammond, United States Air Force, commander of this facility. You're in Cheyenne Mountain, Colorado. And you're a long way from Detroit. RoboCop's targeting systems swept the room one final time before focusing entirely on Hammond. Internal processors worked through variables, threat assessments, jurisdictional protocols. The prime directives that govern every action warred with the impossible data. This was not Detroit, not Michigan, possibly not even the correct dimensional coordinates his fragmentary systems could calculate. General Hammond. The synthesized voice carried a note almost like respect. I require immediate communication with OCP headquarters and Detroit Metro Police Department. I have been displaced. You could say that. O'Neill hadn't lowered his P-90. What's the last thing you remember before playing battering ram with our iris? RoboCop's optical sensors flickered. Memory files corrupted. Data fragmented. Images surfaced. Detroit skyline, OCP weapons testing facility. Experimental dimensional scanner supposedly meant for surveillance. Then energy discharge, reality tearing, the sensation of being simultaneously disassembled and compressed through a space that shouldn't exist. Arrival. Here. OCP experimental technology malfunction. RoboCop stated. Dimensional breach. Catastrophic systems failure during transit. His hand moved toward the integrated holster at his right thigh where the Auto 9 pistol rested. 20 weapons tracked the motion. He stopped. I am not a threat to lawful authority. I serve the public trust. I protect the innocent. I uphold the law. Whose law? Dr. Daniel Jackson stepped forward, lowering his own weapon completely, much to O'Neill's visible annoyance. The archaeologist's expression held familiar compassion, the look of someone who'd spent years talking to displaced beings far from home. Officer Murphy, the situation is complicated. You've traveled through something called a Stargate, an alien device that creates wormholes between planets. You're still on Earth, but you didn't arrive from Detroit or anywhere on this planet. Alien device. RoboCop processed. Recalibrated. Extraterrestrial contact confirmed. Updating threat assessment parameters. His system struggled with protocols designed for urban crime prevention, not cosmic displacement. I require technical support. My power cells are operating at 73% efficiency. Cybernetic systems damaged during unauthorized dimensional transit. Right arm servo response delayed 0.4 seconds. Targeting computer recalibration incomplete. Carter's eyes lit up with scientific fascination. Sir, if I could examine his systems, we might learn how he survived gate transit with an iris impact. The energy expenditure alone should have killed him. Tilsey spoke for the first time, studying RoboCop with the calculating gaze of a warrior recognizing another. Yet he lives. There is strength in this machine. Part machine, RoboCop corrected. His voice carried something new, something beneath the synthesized monotone that sounded disturbingly human. Fragile. Part man. What remains of Officer Alex Murphy? The gate room fell silent. O'Neill exchanged glances with Hammond. Carter's scientific interest tempered with empathy. Daniel stepped closer, hands visible and empty. Officer Murphy, Daniel said gently. We're going to help you. But first, we need to understand what happened and what you are. Then we'll figure out how to get you home. RoboCop's optical sensors focused on Daniel. Somewhere in the maze of circuitry and programming, Alex Murphy's remaining organic brain tissue processed the kindness in that offer. The human part that OCP's technicians hadn't quite managed to erase stirred with something like hope. Acknowledged, RoboCop said. I will cooperate with debriefing procedures. Hammond nodded sharply. SG teams, stand down. Get this man, this officer, to the infirmary. Major Carter, you're with him. Dr. Fraser will want full diagnostics. He paused, studying the cybernetic warrior who'd crashed through their defenses with nothing but determination and titanium. Welcome to Stargate Command, Officer Murphy. You're going to find things here even stranger than wherever you came from. If you want to see more characters enter different universes, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character and the universe you'd want to see them in down in the comments below. Indeed. RoboCop followed the soldiers from the gate room, servos whining softly with each precise step. Behind his visor, targeting systems cataloged every exit, every potential threat, every tactical advantage, doing exactly what OCP had programmed him to do. But underneath the directives and protocols, Alex Murphy wondered if he'd ever see Detroit again. If he'd ever see his son again. The Stargate stood silent behind him, an ancient ring that had brought him impossibly far from home. Somewhere in the galaxy it connected to, forces were already taking notice. A cybernetic warrior had entered their domain. And the Goa'uld System Lords did not ignore such valuable acquisitions. The infirmary's sterile lighting reflected off RoboCop's armored plating as Dr. Janet Fraser circled him with the measured caution of a physician confronting something that defied every textbook she'd ever studied. Medical scanners hummed, their readouts painting impossible pictures, organic tissue interwoven with circuitry, a partially preserved human brain encased in cybernetic housing, systems that operated on principles her equipment struggled to interpret. This is remarkable, Carter breathed, tablet in hand as she cross-referenced energy signatures. Sir, his power source isn't nuclear, isn't Naquata-based. I think it's some kind of advanced battery system coupled with bioelectric generation from his remaining organic components. RoboCop stood motionless on the examination platform, having removed his helmet at Dr. Fraser's request. The face beneath was a jarring collision of human and machine. Pale skin stretched over a partially mechanical skull, one side distinctly Murphy's features, the other a visible framework of servos and synthetic musculature. His eyes, still human, tracked everyone in the room with disconcerting precision. Officer Murphy, Fraser spoke with professional gentleness. I need to understand your medical baseline. What organic systems remain functional? Partial cerebral cortex preserved, RoboCop stated. Face, primary neurological pathways, portions of respiratory system for speech synthesis. Digestive system removed. Cardiovascular system replaced with hydraulic fluid circulation. Approximate organic composition, 4%. Cybernetic composition, 96%. A pause, and when he continued, the synthesized voice carried a weight that spoke of loss. What remains is sufficient to maintain Alex Murphy's consciousness and memory engrams. OCP medical assessment classified me as legally alive. Daniel leaned against the far wall, arms crossed, his expression troubled. They turned you into this? Why? Officer Alex Murphy was killed in the line of duty, RoboCop recited. The words emerged without inflection, but something in those human eyes darkened. OCP Corporation purchased remains through legal waiver. Resurrection protocol implemented. Prime directives installed to ensure compliance with corporate and law enforcement parameters. His head tilted fractionally. I serve the public trust. I protect the innocent. I uphold the law. O'Neill, observing from the doorway with TLC, grimaced. Yeah, that doesn't sound ominous at all. Anyone else getting major creepy corporation vibes here? Indeed, TLC rumbled. The Goa'uld also resurrect their fallen using the sarcophagus. Such devices corrupt the mind, create dependency and madness. This is different. Yet the principle of denying natural death remains disturbing. It wasn't natural death, RoboCop said quietly. Criminals ambushed me. Shot me 32 times. They laughed while I died. His organic hand. The right hand, still partially flesh over mechanical framework, clenched slowly. OCP gave me purpose again. They made me stronger. Faster. Gave me the tools to ensure no other officer would die like I did. Fraser's scanner beeped urgently. Major Carter, you need to see this. His organic components are showing signs of stress. Cellular degradation beyond what I'd expect. The cybernetic systems are working overtime to compensate. Carter moved to Fraser's station, her expression shifting from fascination to concern as she studied the medical readouts. The dimensional transit. His systems adapted to different universal constants during transfer, but now that he's stabilized in our reality, there's a feedback loop. His power cells are consuming more energy trying to maintain equilibrium between organic and cybernetic components. Translation for those of us without PHES? O'Neill requested. He's running out of power faster than normal. Carter simplified. If we can't find a compatible charging system or adapt our technology to his requirements, he'll be operating at diminished capacity. Maybe even risk shutdown of critical systems. RoboCop's targeting computer ran calculations. 73% power and dropping 0.2% hourly. Operational threshold, 40% before motor function impairment. Current rate of depletion. Approximately 165 hours until critical failure. I require access to OCP maintenance facilities or compatible power infrastructure. Which are in Detroit, Daniel said. In a universe we can't access. He pushed off the wall, approaching RoboCop with the same openness he'd shown in the gate room. Look, we've dealt with displaced people before. We've got resources, brilliant engineers, alien technology we're still figuring out. We'll find a solution. Dr. Jackson speaks truth. TLC added. Major Carter has accomplished technological integration that many believed impossible. If your systems can be sustained, she will discover the method. RoboCop's optical sensors focused on Carter. You possess sufficient expertise in cybernetic organic interface technology? Carter smiled slightly. Not exactly. My specialty is astrophysics and alien technology. But we've reverse-engineered Goa'uld devices, Asgard systems, ancient equipment. I learn fast. She pulled up a schematic on her tablet. With Dr. Fraser's help on the biological components, and your cooperation, I think I can jury-rig a charging solution using our Naquadah generators. It won't be elegant, but it'll keep you operational while we work on something permanent. Naquadah. RoboCop accessed fragmentary data his systems had recorded during gate transit. Superconducting mineral. Heavy element. Unknown to OCP technological databases. You have harnessed this material for power generation? Didn't harness it. O'Neill corrected. Stole it from parasitic snake aliens who've been enslaving humans across the galaxy for thousands of years. At RoboCop's processing pause, Jack waved dismissively. Welcome to Stargate Command, Murphy. Things get weird. The infirmary door hissed open. General Hammond entered, accompanied by a thin man in civilian clothes whose expression radiated bureaucratic authority and barely concealed avarice. RoboCop's threat assessment systems tagged him immediately. Non-combatant, administrative, potential hostile intent, micro-expressions indicating deception, stress, calculated observation patterns. General. O'Neill's tone flattened. Please tell me that's not who I think it is. Colonel O'Neill, Major Carter, this is Agent Malcolm Barrett from NID. Hammond's voice carried warning undertones. He's here on behalf of intelligence oversight to assess our unexpected visitor. Barrett's gaze swept RoboCop with naked interest. General Hammond, with respect, this represents technology decades beyond our current capabilities. The applications for national security, counterterrorism operations, even commercial development. He's not technology, Daniel interrupted sharply. He's a person. A police officer who got pulled through a dimensional rift. A dead police officer, Barrett countered, who was rebuilt as a weapon by a corporation. Which means legally, his status as autonomous individual versus corporate property is questionable at best. He approached RoboCop, circling like a shark scenting blood. Officer Murphy, Under what authority do you operate? RoboCop's prime directives process the question. I serve the public trust. I protect the innocent. I uphold the law. Vague. Barrett observed. Which public? Which laws? You're no longer in Detroit, no longer in your jurisdiction, possibly no longer in your universe. OCP can't enforce ownership here. The Detroit PD can't give you orders. Which means you're effectively a free agent, or unclaimed technology. His smile was political calculation given form. The NID could offer you purpose, Officer Murphy. Resources. A mission that matters. Agent Barrett. Hammond's voice carried the weight of absolute command. Officer Murphy is under SGC jurisdiction as of this moment. He arrived through our Stargate. He's our responsibility. With respect, General, the NID has authority to. The NID has authority to observe. Hammond interrupted. Not to acquire. Officer Murphy will receive full cooperation and support from this facility. If and when he chooses to accept assignment, that's his decision. Not yours. Not mine. His. RoboCop's optical sensors shifted between Hammond and Barrett, processing the power dynamics, the territorial dispute over his person, over his body, his systems, his utility as asset versus his autonomy as individual. The human part of him, the Alex Murphy fragments that remembered having choices, having agency, recognized the familiar pattern. OCP had owned him, had programmed him, had made him property. General Hammond, RoboCop stated carefully. I require clarification. Am I prisoner or ally? Hammond met those cybernetic eyes without flinching. You're a guest, Officer Murphy. A colleague if you choose. We don't own people here. We don't exploit them. He glanced pointedly at Barrett. We help them. Something shifted in RoboCop's stance. A subtle relaxation of targeting protocols, a fractional decrease in threat assessment parameters. Acknowledged. I accept SGC hospitality and offer cooperation with debriefing procedures. His attention turned to Barrett. I decline NID acquisition interest. Barrett's expression hardened. You're making a mistake, Murphy. The SGC's resources are limited. Eventually you'll need. Agent Barrett, Carter interjected, her polite smile containing edges sharp enough to cut. Officer Murphy just survived dimensional travel, crashed through our iris, and is adapting to being stranded light years from everything he knows. Maybe give him 5 minutes before the recruitment pitch? Barrett studied the room, the unified front of SG-1, TLC's imposing presence, Hammond's unyielding command authority, even Dr. Fraser's protective stance near her patient. He nodded slowly. Of course, Major. General Hammond, I'll file my report. But this isn't over. He left without waiting for dismissal. O'Neill whistled low. Well, that was fun. Murphy, congratulations. You've been on Earth for less than 2 hours and you've already made enemies with our least favorite alphabet agency. The NID represents significant threat assessment concerns. RoboCop observed. Corporate exploitation patterns match OCP behavioral profiles. Recommendation: maintain defensive protocols. See, I like him already. Jack grinned. Paranoid, suspicious of authority, recognizes bureaucratic evil. You'll fit right in. Sir? Carter interjected. I need to start working on that power solution. Officer Murphy, I'll need access to your diagnostic systems. Can you interface with our computers? RoboCop extended his left arm. A port opened in the forearm plating, revealing data connection interfaces. OCP standard connection protocols. Compatibility uncertain with SGC systems. I'll make it work, Carter promised. She pulled out an interface cable, studying the alien yet familiar technology. Dr. Fraser, can you monitor his vitals while I run diagnostics? Already on it, Fraser confirmed. Hammond cleared his throat. Major Carter, you have priority access to engineering resources. Colonel O'Neill, I want SG-1 briefed on everything we learn about Officer Murphy's capabilities and limitations. Daniel, start compiling information on dimensional travel theories. Maybe we can figure out how he got here and how to send him back. TLC. He paused. What's your assessment? TLC regarded RoboCop with the measured respect of one warrior acknowledging another. He is formidable. His honor appears intact despite mechanical resurrection. The Goa'uld would seek to claim such a warrior. We must ensure they do not succeed. The Goa'uld, RoboCop repeated. Parasitic aliens. System Lords. False gods enslaving human populations. His systems had been processing ambient conversation, cataloging threats. Threat assessment priority high. Recommended response protocols? Usually involves a lot of shooting. O'Neill supplied helpfully. But we'll get to that. First, let's keep you powered up and functional. Then we'll figure out what to do with Detroit's finest, now serving, wherever the hell this counts as. RoboCop's human eyes met O'Neill's. I serve the public trust. I protect the innocent. I uphold the law. A pause, and something almost like emotion colored the synthesized voice. Location irrelevant. Mission parameters unchanged. Hammond nodded slowly. Then welcome aboard, Officer Murphy. Something tells me we're going to need all the help we can get. Carter's workshop hummed with activity. 3 laptops surrounded RoboCop's seated form, cables snaking from diagnostic ports to computers displaying data streams that scrolled faster than human eyes could follow. A Naquata generator sat on the workbench, its crystalline matrix glowing softly as Carter calibrated output levels. Okay, this is fascinating, Carter muttered, stylus tapping against her tablet. Your neural interface operates on quantum processing principles I've only seen theoretical papers on. Whoever built you was decades ahead of contemporary Earth technology. OCP Advanced Concepts Division. RoboCop supplied. Dr. Marie Lazarus, lead cybernetics engineer. Dr. Tyler, neurosurgical specialist. Classified development budget exceeding $2 billion. He paused, accessing corrupted memory files. I do not remember the procedure. OCP medical record sealed. Carter's expression softened. Probably for the best. She connected another interface, watching power consumption metrics. Your systems are adaptable. They're already learning our technology's energy signature. I can modify a Naquata cell to provide compatible output. You'll need periodic recharging, but it'll stabilize your power levels. Acceptable interim solution. Long-term sustainability concerns remain. One problem at a time. Carter smiled. Right now, let's make sure you don't shut down before. The workshop door burst open. O'Neill entered with Daniel and TLC, carrying mission folders. Carter, how's our cybernetic cop doing? Stable. Another hour and I'll have a working charging solution. Good, because Hammond wants Murphy mission ready for evaluation. O'Neill dropped a folder on the workbench. We're taking him off-world. RoboCop's threat assessment systems activated. Mission parameters? P3X797. Daniel explained, opening the folder to reveal planetary data. Low-risk reconnaissance. Uninhabited ancient ruins we've been cataloging. Standard SG-1 milk run. Walk around, take pictures, don't blow anything up. You say that every mission. Carter observed. Yet things explode. I said don't blow things up. The universe has selective hearing. O'Neill studied RoboCop critically. Think you can handle gate travel again, Murphy? Your first trip wasn't exactly smooth. Previous transit involved dimensional breach and iris collision. Standard Stargate operation should present reduced stress on cybernetic systems. RoboCop stood, servos whining. I am mission capable. Yeah, about that. O'Neill leaned against the workbench. Here's the thing. The SGC operates under military command structure, but we're not exactly by the book. I lead SG-1. Carter's our science specialist and second in command. Daniel handles archaeology, linguistics, cultural stuff. Teal CS our heavy hitter and alien expert. We work as a team. Team operational doctrine noted. My training emphasizes independent law enforcement action, which works great in Detroit. Daniel interjected. But out there? He gestured vaguely skyward. We encounter civilizations with different laws, different cultures, different definitions of justice. The Goa'uld enslave entire planets and call it divine right. Some human cultures practice ritual sacrifice. Others have brutal caste systems. His expression turned serious. Your prime directives: serve the public trust, protect the innocent, uphold the law. They're going to conflict with reality on almost every world we visit. RoboCop processed this. His directives were absolute, coded into his core programming. Yet Daniel spoke truth, whose law applied when facing false gods and enslaved populations. Clarification required. SGC operational protocols regarding indigenous populations and criminal activity? We observe, we defend ourselves, we try not to interfere, O'Neill said. Unless someone's trying to kill us or enslave Earth, then we interfere aggressively. The Tauri follow principles similar to those once espoused by the ancients, TLC added. Non-interference when possible. Protection of the innocent when necessary. We are not conquerors. We are explorers and defenders. Explorers, RoboCop repeated. The concept felt alien to programming designed for urban pacification. My systems lack exploration protocols. I am designed for law enforcement, threat neutralization, civilian protection. Then consider this on-the-job training, Carter suggested. She disconnected the diagnostic cables, satisfied with her readings. You adapt to new situations, right? New threats, new criminals, new tactical scenarios? Affirmative. Adaptive learning algorithms integral to combat effectiveness. Same principle. Different scale. Carter handed him a modified equipment vest. P90 magazines, radio, medical kit, power cell backup jury-rigged. Standard SG team loadout. RoboCop examined the equipment with tactical precision. The P90 submachine gun specifications appeared in his HUD. 5.7 by 28 mm ammunition, 50-round magazine, 900 rounds per minute cyclic rate. Inferior to his Auto 9 stopping power but acceptable for suppressive fire. Equipment acknowledgement. One concern, my Auto 9 pistol carries limited ammunition. Detroit Police Standard issue incompatible with military resupply. We'll fabricate compatible rounds in the armory, O'Neill decided. Consider it a welcome gift. We take care of our people. I am not SGC personnel. You're standing in our workshop, about to go through our Stargate, wearing our gear. O'Neill's expression turned serious beneath the casual tone. That makes you one of ours, Murphy. At least for this mission. You want to prove you can operate in our world? Here's your chance. RoboCop's human eyes studied each member of SG-1. Carter's scientific curiosity tempered with genuine concern for his welfare. Daniel's compassionate idealism that somehow survived exposure to galactic horrors. TLC's warrior respect, freely offered despite RoboCop's mechanical nature. O'Neill's leadership, gruff, irreverent, but carrying absolute commitment to his team. Team. Not property. Not asset. Team. Mission acceptance confirmed, RoboCop stated. I will adapt protocols to SGC operational parameters. Outstanding. Briefing in 30 minutes, gate departure in 2 hours. O'Neill headed for the door, then paused. Oh, and Murphy? When things inevitably go sideways, because they always do. You follow my orders. I don't care what your prime directives say. On my team, we trust each other to make the call. Understood? RoboCop's programming warred with the directive. Prime directive override required exceptional circumstances or superior legal authority. But O'Neill's logic was sound. Unfamiliar territory demanded trust and experienced leadership. Understood, Colonel. Operational command acknowledged. Good man. O'Neill grinned. Well, good man-machine cop thing. Whatever. Welcome to SG-1, Murphy. After O'Neill, Daniel, and TLC departed, Carter continued her calibrations in comfortable silence. Finally, she spoke without looking up from her work. They killed you. Brought you back without asking. Programmed you. Used you. Her voice was quiet, careful. I'm sorry that happened to you. RoboCop's optical sensors focused on her. Apology unnecessary, Major. You did not commit the violation. No, but I understand what it's like to be used. To have your choices taken away. She met his gaze. The Goa'uld, the parasitic aliens we fight, they take human hosts. Override their will completely. Turn them into puppets for alien consciousness. We've saved people from that. Watch them struggle with what was done to them. She set down her tools. What I'm saying is, we get it. And we won't let it happen to you again. My autonomy is limited by prime directives and OCP corporate programming. Maybe here it doesn't have to be, Carter suggested. You're not in OCP's jurisdiction anymore. You said it yourself, they can't give you orders from another universe. Which means for maybe the first time since they rebuilt you, you're free to choose. The concept rattled through RoboCop's systems like feedback. Freedom. Choice. Agency beyond programmed parameters. Alex Murphy's human consciousness stirred, recognizing the possibility even as cybernetic logic rejected it as operational impossibility. I am RoboCop. I serve the public trust. I protect the innocent. I uphold the law. Sure, Carter smiled. But maybe you get to decide what that means now. Maybe you get to be Alex Murphy again too. RoboCop stood motionless, processing implications his systems weren't designed to handle. In the workshop's quiet hum, something ancient and human recognized truth. He was light years from OCP's control. From corporate ownership. From Detroit's streets where he'd been property serving profit margins disguised as public safety. Here, impossibly, he might be something more. Power cell integration complete, Carter announced, attaching the modified Naquata battery to his equipment harness. You're at 92% and holding steady. Should maintain charge for 72 hours minimum. Excellent work, Major Carter. Your technical expertise exceeds projections. Thanks. She gathered her equipment. Better gear up. First mission through the Stargate tends to be memorable. Try not to break this one. RoboCop's tactical systems were already running scenarios, calculating threat probabilities, preparing for unknown variables. But beneath the programming, Alex Murphy felt something he hadn't experienced since waking up as OCP's property: anticipation. He was going to explore alien worlds. Serve alongside people who saw him as colleague rather than asset. Possibly, incredibly, find purpose beyond corporate directives. Major Carter, he called as she reached the door. Thank you? She smiled. You're welcome, Murphy. Now let's go see what's out there. The gate room thrummed with controlled energy. RoboCop stood at the base of the ramp, watching SG-1 perform final equipment checks with practiced efficiency. His tactical systems cataloged their movements. O'Neill's casual confidence masking constant threat assessment, Carter's methodical verification of scientific instruments, Daniel adjusting his glasses while reviewing translation notes, TLC's absolute stillness that somehow projected readiness. SG-1, you have a go! Hammond's voice echoed from the control room. P3X797. 48 hours max, keep your radios on. O'Neill keyed his GDO transmitter. Understood, sir. Try not to let an ID steal our new guy while we're gone. I'll do my best, Colonel. Walter Harriman began dialing the gate. Each chevron locked with its distinctive mechanical clunk, the sound reverberating through RoboCop's audio sensors. The inner ring rotated, alien symbols aligning in sequences that represented spatial coordinates across impossible distances. His system struggled to process the mathematics involved. Wormhole theory wasn't part of OCP's law enforcement database. The seventh chevron locked. The kawoosh exploded outward, and RoboCop's targeting computer screamed warnings as the unstable vortex disintegrated a practice dummy placed on the ramp. Then the event horizon settled into its shimmering vertical pool, and his sensors recorded energy signatures that defied conventional physics. "First time's always a trip," O'Neill commented, noticing RoboCop's fixed stare. "You dematerialize here, rematerialize on another planet. Feels like falling through ice water while being electrocuted. But you get used to it." "That description is not reassuring, Colonel." "Yeah, well, I don't sugarcoat." O'Neill gestured to the event horizon. "Ladies first, Carter." Carter grinned and walked through the shimmer without hesitation, disappearing in a ripple of light. Teal'c followed, then Daniel. O'Neill waited, watching RoboCop. "You coming, Murphy? Or do I need to push?" RoboCop's tactical assessment protocols warned against voluntary molecular disassembly. His power management systems flagged potential energy drain. His survival subroutines calculated unacceptable risk. But Alex Murphy's human consciousness remembered something OCP's programming couldn't quantify. Courage meant acting despite fear. "Proceeding," RoboCop stated, and walked into the event horizon. Dematerialization felt like being erased. Every sensor input ceased simultaneously. No visual data, no audio, no tactile feedback, no internal diagnostics. For a fraction of a second that felt like eternity, RoboCop existed as pure information transmitted through a wormhole connecting 2 points in space-time. Then rematerialization hit like a power surge, every system rebooting simultaneously as he stumbled out onto alien soil. His optical sensors flickered, recalibrating. Warning indicators flashed across his HUD. Power cells dropped 2% from transit stress. Motor functions lagged 0.3 seconds. Targeting computer required recalibration to different gravity and atmospheric density. "Welcome to P3X797, Carter said, steadying him with a hand on his armored shoulder. "You okay?" "Cybernetic systems recovering from transit stress. Operational capacity, 94%. Adaptation protocols engaged." RoboCop straightened, servos compensating for the slightly lower gravity. His sensors swept the surroundings. They stood on a plateau surrounded by forest. The Stargate dominated the clearing, its ancient stone surface weathered but functional. 3 moons hung in a purple-tinged sky. The air tasted different. His atmospheric sensors detected higher oxygen content, trace minerals his database couldn't identify. Temperature, 23 degrees Celsius. Wind speed, 12 kilometers per hour. No immediate threats detected. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Daniel gazed at ancient ruins rising from the forest canopy half a kilometer distant. Weathered stone pillars reached toward the alien sky, covered in symbols that glowed faintly with residual energy. "The ancients built these outposts millions of years ago. Most are abandoned now, but they're archaeological gold mines. Ancient civilization designated as Stargate builders," RoboCop confirmed, accessing briefing data Carter had uploaded to his systems. "Advanced technology. Ascended to higher plane of existence. Current threat assessment? The ancients? None. They don't interfere with our dimension anymore." O'Neill started down the path toward the ruins, P90 at ready. "It's everyone else trying to steal their stuff we worry about." The team moved through alien forest with tactical precision. RoboCop fell into formation naturally, his law enforcement training translating to military patrol patterns. His sensors painted a 3-dimensional tactical map, tracking his team's positions, scanning for threats, calculating fields of fire and fallback positions. "Your threat assessment seems excessive, Officer Murphy," Teal'c observed, walking beside him. "This world is uninhabited. Tactical doctrine requires constant vigilance. Threat probability irrelevant to preparation protocols. A warrior's mindset." Teal'c nodded approvingly. "You would have made a formidable First Prime. First Prime designation unknown. The highest rank among Jaffa warriors. Commander of a System Lords armies." Teal'c's expression darkened. I once held such rank under the false god Apophis. I enslaved worlds in his name, believing him divine. Until I learned truth and chose freedom. RoboCop processed this. You were property. Controlled by false authority. You escaped. I rebelled. TLC corrected. There is a difference. Escape is running. Rebellion is choosing to fight. Before RoboCop could respond, his motion sensors triggered. Multiple contacts, approaching fast through the forest. His Auto 9 cleared its holster with practice speed. Alert! Incoming hostiles. 12 contacts. Range, 200 meters and closing. O'Neill dropped to combat stance. Carter? I'm not reading anything on sensors, she reported, checking her equipment. Trust the cop, O'Neill decided. Defensive positions. Daniel, get behind something solid. The team scattered to cover positions. RoboCop's targeting computer tracked the approaching contacts with mechanical precision, painting targeting reticles across his HUD. Threat analysis. Humanoid, moving at approximately 40 kilometers per hour through dense forest, faster than baseline human capability. They burst from the treeline. Not Goa'uld. Not Jaffa. Human, but wrong. Gray skin, glowing eyes, moving with inhuman coordination. They wore scavenged armor and carried energy weapons RoboCop's database didn't recognize. Damn it, O'Neill muttered. Replicators. Human-form replicators should not be in this galaxy, TLC growled, staff weapon charging. Well, someone forgot to tell them. O'Neill opened fire. P-90 rounds sparked off nanite composite armor. Carter's eyes widened with recognition and horror. Sir, these aren't Pegasus replicators. The energy signature's different. These are ancient-era prototypes. If they're still active. A replicator raised its weapon. Energy discharge screamed through the air. The blast vaporized a tree where Daniel had been standing seconds before. Engaging hostiles, RoboCop announced. His Auto 9 thundered, 3-round bursts striking center mass. The replicator staggered but didn't fall. Nanite blocks swarmed across the impact crater, repairing damage in seconds. Targets demonstrate adaptive regeneration. Small arms ineffective. Yeah, they do that. O'Neill fired controlled bursts, trying to slow the advance. Carter, please tell me you brought something that goes boom. Carter was already pulling equipment from her pack. C4 charges, but we need to get close enough to. RoboCop's tactical computer calculated probabilities in milliseconds. Conventional weapons ineffective. Explosives required proximity. Replicators advancing with coordinated tactics. Team outgunned. Conclusion, aggressive action required. Provide covering fire, RoboCop stated, and charged directly at the replicator line. Murphy, wait! O'Neill shouted, but RoboCop was already moving. His servos screamed at maximum output, propelling his armored mass forward at speeds that left craters in the alien soil. A replicator turned to track him. Too slow. RoboCop's fist, 600 pounds of titanium composite alloy backed by hydraulic power, connected with its head. The impact cratered its skull, sending it spinning backward into 2 companions. He didn't stop. Auto 9 firing point-blank into nanite cores, left fist hammering through torsos, armored boots crushing replicator limbs. His systems registered damage, energy weapons scoring his chest plate, replicator claws tearing shoulder plating, but momentum and mass made him an unstoppable force. Suppressing fire! O'Neill ordered. SG-1 poured ammunition into the replicator ranks, exploiting the chaos RoboCop created. A replicator wrapped around RoboCop's back, nanite claws penetrating armor gaps, searching for vulnerable systems. Warning indicators screamed. His targeting computer flickered as nanites tried infiltrating his neural interface. Prime directive violation detected, protect the innocent. Current action endangered team through reckless engagement. Then TLC's staff weapon blast vaporized the replicator on his back. Daniel's P-90 burst destroyed another's weapon arm. Carter's precisely aimed shots disabled the third's locomotion systems. They fought as a team. And together, they were winning. The last replicator attempted retreat. RoboCop's targeting computer locked on. Auto 9-round punched through its power core. It collapsed, nanite blocks scattering across alien soil, losing cohesion. Silence fell over the forest, broken only by cooling metal and heavy breathing. Well, O'Neill lowered his weapon, surveying the carnage. That was significantly less boring than advertised. He walked to where RoboCop stood, armor scorched and dented. You okay, Murphy? RoboCop ran diagnostics. Hull integrity, 72%. Power cells, 81%. Left shoulder servo damaged. Targeting computer recalibrating after nanite intrusion attempt. Functional. Combat effectiveness reduced 11%. Repairs required. You just fought off 12 replicators with your bare hands. Carter stared. Reduced effectiveness? OCP standards require peak operational capacity. Daniel approached cautiously, examining a deactivated replicator. These designs are ancient. Thousands of years old. Why would they activate now? Unknown, TLC said grimly. But their presence suggests this world is not as abandoned as believed. O'Neill's radio crackled. Static, then Hammond's voice. SG-1 report. We're detecting energy spikes at your location. Contact with hostiles, General. Ancient replicators. Neutralized for now. O'Neill studied the ruins in the distance, where lights now pulsed with steady rhythm. Sir, I think we just triggered something. And I don't think we're alone anymore. RoboCop's sensors painted the ruins with targeting data. Multiple energy signatures activating. Movement detected within ancient structures. His tactical computer calculated odds, and for the first time since entering this universe, recommended retreat. The mission had just become significantly more complicated. The ancient ruins pulsed with increasing intensity, geometric patterns racing across weathered stone like circuit pathways awakening after millennia of sleep. RoboCop's sensors tracked 17 distinct energy signatures moving through the structure, more replicators, coordinating with tactical precision that suggested central command. Fall back to the gate, O'Neill ordered. Fighting retreat. Murphy, your rear guard. Acknowledged. RoboCop positioned himself between the team and the ruins, Auto 9 tracking movement through gaps in ancient architecture. His damaged shoulder servo whined with each motion, response time degraded by 14%. They moved through the forest in tactical bounds, one element covering while another retreated. Carter kept her scanner active, feeding data to RoboCop's systems through their shared network connection. The energy signatures are converging on our position. They're hunting us. Replicators are designed to seek out technology and assimilate it. Daniel panted, struggling to keep pace. We're probably the most interesting thing they've detected in centuries. Wonderful. We're popular. O'Neill marked their path with quick efficiency. TLC, dial us home the second we hit the gate. A replicator emerged from the canopy above, dropping toward Carter with claws extended. RoboCop's targeting computer painted the threat. Auto 9 rose, tracked, fired. 3 rounds disintegrating the replicator's head before it could strike. The body crashed into the undergrowth, nanite blocks scattering. Thanks, Carter breathed. Protecting the innocent. Prime directive compliance. I'm not innocent. Carter managed a tight smile despite the danger. I've blown up my share of stuff. Irrelevant to threat assessment parameters. More replicators poured from the ruins. RoboCop counted 23, then 31, then stopped counting as ancient technology continued manufacturing defenders from some hidden facility beneath the surface. His tactical computer calculated pursuit trajectories, predicted ambush points, recommended defensive positions. All leading to the same conclusion. They wouldn't reach the gate before being overwhelmed. Colonel O'Neill, RoboCop stated. Current tactical situation requires delaying action. Recommendation, I provide suppressing fire while team reaches Stargate. Negative, O'Neill snapped. Nobody gets left behind. I am not requesting permission. I am stating tactical necessity. RoboCop stopped at a defensible position, fallen ancient pillars creating natural fortification. My combat durability exceeds organic team members. I can sustain enemy attention for approximately 11 minutes. Sufficient time for gate evacuation. Murphy. Colonel, my prime directives require protecting the innocent. Your team qualifies under operational parameters. RoboCop's human eyes met O'Neill's, and something in that gaze was pure Alex Murphy, the cop who died protecting civilians, who understood sacrifice. Go. I will follow if possible. TLC stepped forward. I will remain. A warrior does not abandon brothers in arms. Indeed not, RoboCop acknowledged. But Daniel Jackson lacks combat capability. Major Carter's technical expertise is irreplaceable. Your staff weapon provides covering fire superior to standard firearms. You protect them. I delay pursuit. His targeting computer locked onto approaching replicators. This is not abandonment. This is tactics. O'Neill's jaw clenched. Every instinct screamed against leaving someone behind, but Murphy was right, brutal, cold mathematics right. You better make it back, Murphy. I don't want to explain to Hammond that we lost you on your first mission. Understood. Now go. SG-1 moved. RoboCop didn't watch them leave. His optical sensors focused entirely on the replicator swarm emerging from ancient ruins like metallic locusts. 37 contacts. 42. 51. His Auto 9 held 12 rounds. P90 magazines 3, 50 rounds each. C4 charges 2. Tactical assessment, insufficient ammunition for sustained engagement. The first replicators entered effective range. RoboCop opened fire. Auto 9 rounds punched through nanite cores with devastating precision. His targeting computer painted weak points, power distribution nodes, structural stress points, neural pathway junctions. OCP's combat algorithms identified through rapid analysis. Each shot counted. Each shot killed. But they kept coming. A replicator reached his position. RoboCop's left fist drove through its chest, crushing the power core. Another attacked from his damaged side. He pivoted despite protesting servos, brought the Auto 9 to bear point blank, fired. Nanite claws raked his armor, gouging deep furrows through titanium composite. Warning, hull integrity compromised. Multiple armor breaches. Left shoulder servo failure imminent. Power consumption exceeding sustainable levels. RoboCop ignored the warnings. His systems could fail after the team reached safety. He armed a C4 charge, placed it against a fallen pillar supporting 3 replicators, detonated. The explosion vaporized them and brought ancient stone crashing down, temporarily blocking pursuit routes. He used the respite to reload, assess damage, recalculate trajectories. His radio crackled. Murphy, we're at the gate. Carter's voice. Dialing now. Acknowledged. Proceeding to extraction point. RoboCop began fighting withdrawal, each step backward purchased with ammunition and tactical violence. Auto 9 empty. He holstered it, brought the P90 to bear. The weapon felt wrong in his hands, designed for human ergonomics, not cybernetic strength, but necessity overrode preference. Controlled bursts. Conserve ammunition. Target weak points. Move. Shoot. Move again. A replicator tackled him from behind. They crashed through undergrowth, nanite claws seeking vulnerable systems. RoboCop rolled, brought his armored knee up into its torso, crushed its spine with a sledgehammer punch. Another grabbed his damaged shoulder. Warning indicators screamed. He ripped it free, threw it into 2 companions, used the momentary opening to run. His power cells registered 71%. Servo damage spreading. Targeting computer glitching from nanite infiltration attempts. He could see the Stargate through the trees, shimmering event horizon already active, SG-1 in defensive positions around the DHT. 50 meters. 40. 30. A replicator emerged directly in his path. No time to dodge. RoboCop lowered his shoulder and hit it like a linebacker, momentum and mass carrying them both toward the gate. They tumbled across ancient stone, RoboCop's armor shrieking protest, the replicator's claws tearing, seeking, destroying. 20 meters from the event horizon. The replicator wrapped around him completely, nanite blocks flooding through armor breaches, infiltrating his systems. His HUD flickered. Motor control degraded. Warning, critical system intrusion. Recommend immediate shutdown to prevent. No. Not yet. RoboCop's human consciousness, Alex Murphy's remaining organic brain tissue, asserted control through sheer will. He forced damaged servos to move, forced compromised systems to function, forced his cybernetic body to obey despite nanite corruption spreading through his neural pathways. He stood. Staggered forward. 10 meters. 5. Murphy, move! O'Neill's voice seemed distant through malfunctioning audio sensors. TLCS staff weapon discharged, vaporizing replicators at RoboCop's heels. Carter threw something, her last C4 charge, into pursuing ranks. The explosion bought precious seconds. RoboCop reached the event horizon. Turned. The replicator still clung to his back, nanites spreading like infection through his systems. If it came through the gate with him, it would reach Earth. Would infiltrate SGC. Would assimilate their technology, spread, destroy everything. Unacceptable. His damaged right hand found the replicator's power core. Closed. Crushed with every ounce of hydraulic pressure his failing systems could generate. The replicator spasmed, lost cohesion, fell away. RoboCop stumbled through the event horizon. Dematerialization hit like system shock. His corrupted systems screamed as gate transit energy interacted with nanite infiltration. For a moment suspended between worlds, he existed as pure data, and the Stargate's security protocols identified foreign code, isolated it, purged it. Rematerialization on Earth felt like resurrection. Again. RoboCop collapsed on the SGC ramp, armor smoking, systems critical, but free of nanite corruption. The Stargate had saved him, cleansing the infiltration during molecular transit. Medical team! Hammond's voice echoed from the control room. Get him to the infirmary! Hands, human hands, gentle despite urgency, helped him to his feet. O'Neill on one side, TLC on the other. Carter running diagnostics with her scanner. Daniel hovering nearby, concern written across his features. You crazy son of a bitch, O'Neill said, and it sounded like the highest compliment. You actually made it. Mission objective achieved. RoboCop's synthesized voice glitched. Team safe. Prime directive fulfilled. His optical sensors flickered. Power cells at 63% but draining fast from system damage. Hull integrity 31%. Multiple servo failures. Targeting computer offline. But alive. Functional. Successful. Dr. Fraser arrived with her team. Get him to my workshop. Carter, I need you for cybernetic repair. As they half-carried him from the gate room, RoboCop's failing audio sensors caught Hammond speaking to O'Neill. First mission evaluation, Colonel? He'll do, sir. O'Neill watched the cybernetic officer being taken for emergency repair. He'll do just fine. RoboCop's systems finally registered the word's significance. Acceptance. Not as weapon. Not as property. As team member who'd proven himself through sacrifice. For the first time since OCP rebuilt him, Alex Murphy felt like he belonged somewhere. Carter's workshop had become an emergency operating theater. RoboCop lay on a reinforced examination table while she worked alongside Dr. Fraser, their hands moving with practiced coordination through exposed circuitry and damaged servos. Nanite residues still clung to his internal systems despite the gate's purging, dormant but potentially reactivatable. This damage is extensive, Fraser said, using surgical precision to extract corrupted components. Officer Murphy, can you feel this? Sensation registers in remaining organic neural tissue, RoboCop confirmed. His HUD flickered sporadically, displaying fragmented diagnostic data. Pain threshold exceeded in 7 locations. Compensating through endorphin analog release. You can feel pain? Daniel stood nearby, watching the procedure with horrified fascination. OCP left you capable of suffering? Pain provides tactical feedback regarding system damage. Operational necessity. RoboCop's voice carried no inflection, but something human lurked beneath. I remember what pain felt like before. This is different. Clinical. Carter removed a shattered servo assembly from his shoulder. The nanites tried to rewrite your core programming. If the gate hadn't purged them during transit. She didn't finish, but her expression completed the thought. He would have become something else entirely. The Stargate protected me, RoboCop observed. Unexpected defensive capability. Ancient technology demonstrates sophisticated security protocols. The ancients built safeguards into everything. Daniel explained. They learned hard lessons about artificial intelligence and self-replicating technology. The replicators were one of their greatest mistakes, machines designed to fight the wraith that became their own threat. He paused. You're not like them, though. You're still human where it counts. 4% organic tissue does not constitute humanity. Humanity isn't measured in percentages, Fraser interjected gently. She worked on his damaged facial plating, revealing the vulnerable organic components beneath. It's measured in choices. You chose to protect the team. That's human. RoboCop processed this while they continued repairs. His memory banks replayed the battle, tactical decisions made in microseconds, prioritizing team survival over self-preservation, understanding sacrifice despite programming that demanded self-maintenance. Those choices hadn't come from OCP directives. They'd come from something deeper. From Alex Murphy. The workshop door opened. O'Neill entered carrying a data tablet, TLC following. How's our favorite cybernetic cop? Stable, Carter reported. Another 6 hours and I'll have him operational. Not pretty, but functional. Story of my life, O'Neill quipped. He set the tablet beside RoboCop's head, angling it so his optical sensors could view the screen. Got something you need to see. Intelligence reports from our Talk-RA allies. The display showed intercepted Goa'uld communications. RoboCop's damaged HUD struggled to process the alien script until translation protocols engaged. His systems went still as the meaning registered. System Lord Ares is mobilizing forces. TLC summarized. He has learned of a cybernetic warrior arriving through the Tauri Stargate. He believes you are ancient technology, a weapon he can claim. Ares, Daniel added, was the Greek god of war. The Goa'uld who took that persona is obsessed with military technology and conquest. If he thinks you're ancient built. He trailed off, the implications clear. He will attack Earth to acquire me. RoboCop concluded. My presence has endangered this facility. No, O'Neill said firmly. Your presence gave us intel on ancient replicator facilities and proved you're worth keeping around. Ares was going to be a problem eventually anyway. He's been getting aggressive since Apophis died. This just accelerates the timeline. Colonel O'Neill speaks truth. TLC confirmed. The System Lords grow desperate as their power wanes. They seek any advantage. You represent significant technological advancement they covet. RoboCop's tactical computer, still partially offline, struggled to calculate defensive scenarios. SGC defensive capabilities against Goa'uld assault? Iris holds against everything they've thrown at us, Carter assured him. And we've got Earth's defense satellites, F-16s with Naquata-enhanced missiles, allies who'll support us. She reconnected a neuropathway cluster, watching his systems stabilize. You're not facing this alone, Murphy. Alone, RoboCop repeated. The word resonated through circuits and organic tissue alike. He'd been alone since OCP rebuilt him. Isolated by corporate ownership, by programming that made genuine human connection nearly impossible, by the horror people felt looking at what he'd become. I have always operated alone. Not anymore, O'Neill stated. You're SG-1 now. Provisional member, pending Hammond's official approval, but you bled with us. That counts. He leaned against the workbench. Here's what's happening. Hammond's calling a briefing in 12 hours. TalkRA are sending a representative to discuss Ares' situation. NID's sniffing around again because Barrett smells opportunity. And somewhere out there, a pissed-off false god is planning to either worship you as holy relic or tear you apart for spare parts. Comprehensive threat assessment. RoboCop acknowledged. Recommended response? We figure out what Ares wants, why he wants it, and how to make him regret threatening Earth. O'Neill's expression turned calculating. Carter, how long until Murphy's combat ready? 6 hours for basic functionality. 24 for full combat capacity. 48 if you want him at optimal performance. We've got 24 before TalkRA arrival. That'll have to do. O'Neill turned to RoboCop. Think you can handle a strategy briefing while literally being rebuilt? Affirmative. Tactical planning requires cognitive function, not physical mobility. Good man. O'Neill pulled up additional files on the tablet. Here's what we know about Ares. System Lord for 3,000 years. Controls 7 motherships, roughly 42 Jaffa battalions, and has a hard-on for ancient weapons. He's smart, ruthless, and unlike some Goa'uld, actually understands tactics. He also possesses sarcophagus technology and ribbon devices, TLC added. His Jaffa are fanatically loyal. He has crushed 17 rebellions through strategic brutality. Daniel projected holographic images, ancient text translations hovering above the tablet. The interesting part is what we found in the P3X797 database before everything went replicator crazy. The ancients had an outpost there specifically for cybernetic research. They were experimenting with organic-synthetic integration before they ascended. RoboCop's systems focused despite damage. I triggered ancient defense systems. The replicators activated in response to my presence. Exactly. Daniel confirmed. Your unique signature, part organic, part machine, registered as potential ancient experiment. The facility tried to, I don't know, study you? Protect you? The protocols are damaged, but it's clear the ancients were very interested in beings like you. Beings that bridge biological and technological evolution. Carter elaborated. She installed a replacement power coupling, watching energy flows stabilize. The ancients achieved ascension, transcending physical form entirely. But they experimented with every evolutionary path. Cybernetic enhancement was one option they explored before choosing ascension. Which means if Ares gets his hands on you, O'Neill concluded, he's not just getting a tough cop from Detroit. He's getting potential access to ancient cybernetic research. Technology that could let him upgrade his Jaffa, enhance his own host body, maybe even force ascension through mechanical means. RoboCop processed the implications. OCP had built him as law enforcement tool. The ancients had apparently pursued similar technology for evolutionary advancement. And now a parasitic alien god wanted to dissect him for secrets that could threaten Earth and countless worlds. Unacceptable outcome. RoboCop stated. Ares must not acquire ancient cybernetic research. Agreed. Hammond's voice came from the doorway. The general entered, carrying coffee and command authority in equal measure. Which is why we're taking proactive measures. He set his mug down, studying RoboCop with the same measuring gaze he'd used when they first met. Officer Murphy, I'm officially offering you a position with Stargate Command. Civilian Specialist Contractor, working directly with SG-1. You'll have access to our resources, our protection, and our mission. In exchange for? RoboCop's tactical computer calculated the transaction. Your expertise. Your capabilities. Your willingness to stand between Earth and threats we can't always see coming. Hammond's expression softened slightly. And maybe giving you something OCP never did, a choice about how you serve. The workshop fell silent except for the hum of equipment, and Carter's continued repairs. RoboCop systems processed variables, remaining far from Detroit, from his son, from everything Alex Murphy had been. But also remaining where people saw him as colleague rather than property. Where his sacrifice mattered. Where he could serve the public trust, protect the innocent, uphold the law, on a scale that encompassed worlds. I accept, RoboCop stated. Terms. I maintain autonomous operational authority regarding Prime Directive compliance. I receive technical support for system maintenance. And I am permitted to seek methods of returning to my original universe. Done. Hammond agreed immediately. Welcome to the SGC, Officer Murphy. Now let's figure out how to keep Ares from starting a war over you. The briefing room felt smaller with 10 people packed around the conference table. RoboCop stood rather than sat, his repaired but still damaged frame protesting the stress of sitting mechanisms. Carter had restored him to 78% operational capacity, enough for tactical planning if not extended combat. General Hammond presided at the table's head. SG-1 occupied one side. Across from them sat two figures RoboCop's sensors immediately classified as non-standard human. Symbiote carriers. Talk RA. This is Anise. Hammond introduced the woman. And her symbiote Freya. They represent the Talk RA in this matter. Anise's eyes flashed, a disturbing effect RoboCop catalogued as symbiote asserting presence. When she spoke, her voice carried dual harmonics, two consciousnesses speaking in imperfect unison. We have monitored Goa'uld communications regarding the cybernetic entity. Ares has declared you Sakmet, holy relic of the ancients. He believes possessing you will grant him legitimacy among system lords and access to forbidden knowledge. Wonderful. O'Neill muttered. From cop to religious icon. Murphy's moving up in the world. How long before Ares moves against Earth? Hammond demanded. 3 days, perhaps 4. Anise replied. He gathers his fleet. 7 Hatak motherships, 40 Jaffa battalions, plus support vessels. He will not risk failure through insufficient force. Teal's CS expression darkened. 7 motherships represent overwhelming firepower. Even with Earth's defenses and Asgard treaty protections, such an assault would devastate this facility. The Asgard are occupied with replicator incursions in their home galaxy. Carter added grimly. Thor can't bail us out this time. Then we don't let Ares reach Earth. O'Neill stated. We take the fight to him first. Daniel leaned forward. Jack, 7 motherships. We have what, 2 operational ships? Prometheus is still in shakedown, and the Goa'uld cargo vessel we captured is barely armed. Which is why we don't fight ship to ship. O'Neill grinned dangerously. We go old school. Infiltration. Sabotage. Make Ares come to us on our terms. RoboCop's tactical computer processed the strategy. Clarification required. You propose infiltrating System Lord's flagship to compromise his operational capability? Basically. O'Neill confirmed. Probability of mission success, 18%. Probability of team casualties, 94%. Recommended alternative, I surrender to Ares forces, equipped with explosives sufficient to destroy mothership from within. The room went silent. Carter stared. Daniel's mouth opened without sound. Even Teal'c looked surprised. Absolutely not. Hammond said flatly. We don't sacrifice our people. Period. I am not people, General. I am property repurposed as law enforcement tool. OCP corporate asset. My tactical value lies in expendability. Stop. O'Neill interrupted, his casual tone vanishing. Listen to me very carefully, Murphy. You are not property. You are not expendable. You are SG-1, which means your family, and we don't blow up family members even when it's tactically convenient. He leaned across the table. You got that through your cybernetic skull? RoboCop's optical sensors focused on O'Neill, processing the vehemence behind the words. His system struggled to reconcile tactical logic with emotional insistence on his value as individual rather than asset. Understood. Alternative strategies required. Anise studied RoboCop with unsettling intensity. The Takari possess technology that might assist. We have developed symbiote suppressors, devices that prevent Goa'uld from taking hosts. Applied to Officer Murphy's systems, such technology might convince Ares that attempting to implant him is futile. Which doesn't solve the he wants to tear Murphy apart for ancient secrets problem, Daniel pointed out. No, Anise agreed. But it provides negotiating leverage. If Ares cannot use Officer Murphy as host, his value diminishes. Perhaps enough to propose alternative arrangements. Like what? Carter asked skeptically. Information exchange, Anise suggested. The Takari have studied ancient cybernetic research for centuries. We could offer Ares limited access to such knowledge. Carefully redacted to prevent dangerous applications, in exchange for ceasing hostilities against the Tauri. You want to give a system lord ancient technology? O'Neill's voice dropped to dangerous levels. Carefully selected, largely theoretical knowledge. Anise clarified. Enough to satisfy his curiosity, insufficient for practical weaponization. The Takari are skilled at such deceptions. RoboCop processed the proposal's implications. You would use me as bait. Offer information ostensibly derived from my construction to prevent military engagement. Risk assessment. Ares may accept trade or may attempt to acquire complete knowledge through force. Which is why we need contingency plans. Hammond stated. Colonel, I want 3 operational scenarios. Diplomatic solution if possible. Tactical infiltration if necessary. Full defensive posture if Ares attacks Earth directly. On it, sir. O'Neill pulled up tactical displays. Carter, you're running scenarios on mothership vulnerabilities. TLC, intel on Ares' command structure and likely ship deployments. Daniel, find me something in ancient databases about cybernetic research we can dangle without actually compromising anything important. And Officer Murphy? Anise inquired. Murphy's with me, O'Neill decided. We're planning infiltration routes and sabotage targets. If diplomacy fails, I want options that don't involve mass casualties. The briefing continued for 2 hours. RoboCop absorbed tactical data, ship schematics, Jaffa battalion compositions, Goa'uld command protocols. His systems cataloged weak points, shield generator locations, hyperdrive vulnerabilities, glider bay choke points. The information overwhelmed his damaged processors occasionally, forcing brief pauses while corruption errors cleared. Carter noticed his system strain. Murphy, you need rest. Your neural pathways are overheating from sustained processing. Mission requirements override maintenance protocols. Sam's right, O'Neill said, surprising everyone. You're running at 78% after getting your ass kicked by replicators. Push too hard and you'll be useless when we actually need you. He stood, gathering his materials. Everyone reconvene in 6 hours. Get food, sleep, or whatever passes for rest in your respective biologies. The room emptied gradually. RoboCop remained, optical sensors reviewing tactical data on the displays. His power cells registered 71%. Damaged servos required recalibration. Targeting computers still glitched intermittently. Yet stopping felt wrong, abandoning preparation, accepting vulnerability, trusting others to handle mission-critical planning. You're still here, Daniel observed from the doorway. Continued tactical analysis required. Daniel entered carrying 2 cups of coffee. Then paused, realizing the absurdity. Sorry. Force of habit. You probably don't drink coffee. Digestive system removed during OCP reconstruction. I remember coffee. Taste. Warmth. Ritual of morning preparation before patrol. RoboCop's synthesized voice carried unexpected weight. I remember many things I can no longer experience. Daniel set both cups down, taking the seat beside RoboCop. Is that what it's like? Remembering being human but being trapped in a body that can't do human things anymore? Yes. The word emerged quietly, more Murphy than RoboCop. OCP preserved my memories. Said it would make me more effective. Better judgment. Clearer moral reasoning. They did not consider the cost of remembering what I lost. Your family, Daniel said gently. Your wife. Your son. Ellen. Jimmy. Names RoboCop hadn't spoken since arriving. Names that hurt in ways his pain receptors couldn't quantify. OCP declared Alex Murphy legally dead. They received death benefits. They mourned. They moved forward with their lives while I continued. Watching them from distance. Unable to return. Unable to be husband and father again. Daniel's expression reflected familiar grief. I lost my wife to the Goa'uld. Shari. She was taken as host, lived for years with a parasite controlling her body. I searched for her across the galaxy. Found her. Lost her. Finally. He stopped, the memory still raw. Finally had to let her go. So I understand. Not the same, but I understand loss. RoboCop's human eyes focused on Daniel. You continue despite loss. How? Purpose, Daniel said simply. I search for meaning in ancient civilizations, protect people from the Goa'uld, try to honor Shari's memory by making the galaxy a little better. He gestured to RoboCop. You're doing the same. Protecting people. Serving. It's still you, Murphy. Still the cop who died protecting civilians. The body changed, but the person didn't. OCP programming dictates my actions through prime directives. And yet you chose to stay behind on P3X797. Your directives didn't command that sacrifice, you did. Daniel stood, heading for the door. Get some rest, Murphy. The universe needs you functional, not running on fumes and guilt. After Daniel left, RoboCop remained in the empty briefing room. His systems ran through maintenance cycles, clearing corrupted data, optimizing power consumption, preparing for coming conflict. But Alex Murphy's consciousness, that 4% organic tissue carrying his humanity, processed Daniel's words. Purpose. Choice. Honor through service. Perhaps being Alex Murphy wasn't about flesh and blood. Perhaps it was about the choices he made. The people he protected. The values he upheld despite corporate programming designed to make him compliant weapon. His power cells needed recharging. His servos required calibration. His systems demanded rest. For once, RoboCop chose to listen. The alarm shattered what passed for RoboCop's rest cycle. Klaxon screamed through SGC corridors as his systems jolted to full combat readiness. Power cells, 89%. System diagnostics, operational capacity at 82%. Threat assessment, active. Unscheduled off-world activation. Walter's voice crackled through facility-wide speakers. Multiple incoming wormholes detected across the gate network. RoboCop was moving before his conscious mind fully processed the alert. His repaired servos carried him through corridors with mechanical precision, following the flow of military personnel toward combat stations. He reached the gate room as SG-1 assembled, weapons ready. Report! Hammond demanded from the control room. Sir, we're detecting simultaneous gate activations on 17 different worlds. Walter's fingers flew across his console. All planets in our database. All coordinates we've visited in the last 6 months. Carter's face went pale. That's not random. Someone's tracking our gate addresses. The Stargate activated. The iris slammed shut. Something hit the barrier with tremendous force, not dematerializing like normal matter but pushing, straining, testing structural integrity exactly as RoboCop had during his arrival. Iris holding, a technician reported. But the energy signature, sir, that's not normal gate transit. Whatever's trying to come through is using some kind of phasing technology. Ares, TLC stated grimly. He has developed technology to bypass the iris. Anise materialized from the corridor, her expression urgent. We must evacuate. The Takari have intelligence. Ares didn't wait for negotiations. He's launching coordinated assault across every gate the Tauri have accessed. He means to overwhelm your defenses through simultaneous multi-point attacks. How many ships? O'Neill demanded. All 7 motherships. Plus support vessels. He's divided his fleet to strike multiple targets, but his flagship and 3 Hattacks are in orbit now, preparing to deploy ground forces. Explosions rocked the mountain. RoboCop's sensors detected seismic disturbances. Something attacking from orbit. Bombardment strikes against Cheyenne Mountain's reinforced structure. The facility had been built to withstand nuclear attack, but Goa'uld weapons operated on different principles. He's trying to collapse the mountain, Carter realized. Bury the gate so he can excavate it later with you inside. Lock down all critical systems, Hammond ordered. Prepare for. The iris shrieked. Metal screamed as reality itself seemed to bend around the Stargate. Then something punched through, not materializing through the event horizon but phasing into existence inside the gate room. A Goa'uld device, roughly spherical, covered in alien hieroglyphs that glowed with malevolent energy. Bomb! Someone shouted. RoboCop's tactical computer identified the threat in milliseconds. Energy weapon, yield approximately 2 kilotons, detonation imminent. Personnel evacuation impossible. Blast radius would encompass multiple levels. Containment impossible. No material strong enough. Only one option remained. He moved. Titanium hands closed around the device. His servos screamed protest as alien energy burned through his palms, searing synthetic flesh and corroding metal. His targeting computer painted trajectories. He needed velocity, needed distance, needed to get this weapon away from the facility before detonation. The Stargate still shimmered with active wormhole. Exit route. Murphy, no! Carter's voice seemed distant through his malfunctioning audio sensors. RoboCop charged up the ramp, cradling the bomb against his chest. Energy arced across his armor, melting plating, destroying systems. Power cells dropping rapidly. 63%, 58, 51. The device's countdown registered in his HUD 4 seconds. 3. He dove through the event horizon. 2. Dematerialization hit like being torn apart. The bomb came with him, its energy signature tangling with gate transit patterns, creating feedback that shredded his already damaged systems. 1. Rematerialization occurred on an unknown world. RoboCop had microseconds to register alien sky, hostile terrain, enemy forces, then the bomb detonated. The blast vaporized everything within 50 meters. Heat and pressure that should have killed him instantly instead met titanium armor and cybernetic reinforcement. His systems absorbed catastrophic damage, hull integrity collapsing, servos melting, targeting computer destroyed, power cells critical failure imminent. But he'd achieved mission objective. The SGC was safe. RoboCop crashed into alien soil, armor smoking, systems failing one by one. His optical sensors flickered, displaying corrupted data and warnings that no longer mattered. Through failing audio pickups, he heard voices, deep, commanding, speaking Goa'uld. Figures approached. Jaffa warriors in ornate armor, staff weapons charged. Behind them, something else, a palanquin carried by more Jaffa, ornate beyond reason. And within it, a figure whose eyes glowed with symbiote presence. Ares. The System Lord dismounted with theatrical grace, studying RoboCop's destroyed form with obvious satisfaction. When he spoke, his voice carried the arrogance of someone who believed himself divine. So the weapon comes to me willingly. How convenient! Ares knelt beside RoboCop, ribbon device materializing on his hand, the Kara-Kesh, weapon and torture implement combined. I am Ares, god of war, master of 7 worlds, commander of armies that span galaxies. And you, cybernetic creation, are mine now. RoboCop's vocal system struggled to respond. I serve the public trust. You serve me. Ares corrected. He gestured, and Jaffa lifted RoboCop's damaged body. Take him to my mothership. Summon my technicians. I want him disassembled, studied, every component catalogued. The ancients created something magnificent, and I will unlock its secrets. Not ancient. RoboCop managed through failing systems. OCP. Detroit, human. Lies. Ares dismissed. Only the ancients possessed such technology. Only they could merge flesh and machine so perfectly. You are their legacy, and through you, I shall become more than System Lord. I shall become God made real. RoboCop's systems registered transport rings engaging, Goa'uld beaming technology pulling him toward the mothership in orbit. His last functional sensor recorded the planet falling away, replaced by the vastness of space and the ominous bulk of a hot-tack mothership. Then his final systems failed. Darkness claimed him. But in that darkness, Alex Murphy's consciousness remained. Trapped in non-functioning body, unable to move or communicate, aware but helpless as Jaffa carried him through alien corridors toward a fate he couldn't prevent. He'd saved Earth. But he'd delivered himself to the enemy. Aboard the hot-tack flagship, Ares stood in his throne room, watching technicians prepare examination tables and surgical implements. His first prime, a massive Jaffa named Herak, approached with appropriate reverence. My lord, the Tauri facility on Earth survived the assault. Our orbital bombardment was insufficient to breach their mountain, and several of our ground teams reported heavy resistance before withdrawing. Irrelevant. Ares waved dismissively. I have what I came for. The cybernetic weapon. With it, I shall create armies of enhanced Jaffa. Soldiers who cannot be taken as hosts by my enemies. Warriors who combine Goa'uld technology with ancient innovation. His eyes burned with megalomaniacal certainty. The System Lords will kneel. The Tauri will bow. And I shall reign eternal. In the examination chamber, technicians began their work on RoboCop's inert form. They didn't notice his backup systems quietly activating. Didn't register the distress signal transmitting on frequencies the Tauri had coded into his communications array during repairs. Didn't realize that being captured was exactly what O'Neill had planned for, assuming Murphy survived. The signal reached through subspace, crossing light years in seconds, arriving at a cloaked cargo ship hiding in Saturn's orbit. Inside, SG-1 monitored the transmission. We've got him, Carter announced, relief and concern warring in her voice. Murphy's alive. Damaged, but his core systems are intact. And he's aboard Ares' flagship exactly as we hoped. O'Neill studied the tactical display. Then let's go get our cop back. And maybe blow up a mothership while we're at it. Indeed, Teal'c agreed, charging his staff weapon. The cargo ship's engines flared. The mission had entered its most dangerous phase. RoboCop's backup systems powered online with agonizing slowness. His primary processors remained offline, optical sensors destroyed, motor functions completely disabled. But OCP's engineers had built redundancy into every critical system, emergency protocols designed to keep a downed officer transmitting location data until backup arrived. Except his backup was light years away, and the voices surrounding him spoke Goa'uld. The outer armor is remarkable. A technician's voice filtered through damaged audio pickups. Titanium Naquata composite. Far superior to our standard alloys. And the integration with organic tissue, I have never seen such precise bonding. Can you replicate it? Ares' voice, sharp with demand. Given time, my lord. But the construction methods are unlike anything in our databases. The ancients used principles we have yet to master. Then you will master them, Ares commanded. I did not conquer 42 worlds through accepting limitations. Begin with the neural interface. I want to understand how consciousness is preserved within mechanical housing. Warning indicators RoboCop couldn't see flashed across inactive displays. They were going to dissect his brain, the 4% of Alex Murphy that remained organic. Once they breached his cranial housing, he would cease to exist in any meaningful way. A subtle vibration traveled through the mothership's hull. His damaged sensors barely registered it, but pattern recognition subroutines identified the signature: ring transporter activation. Multiple rings, multiple locations. Either Ares was moving forces or distant explosions. Staff weapon fire. Alarms blaring through the Hatax corridors. "My lord!" Herak's voice urgent. "We are under attack! Intruders have infiltrated the ship!" "Impossible," Ares snarled. "The Tauri lack ships capable of reaching us, and my sensors detected no approach." "Nevertheless, they are here. 3 levels below the Peltac. Fighting toward your position. More explosions, closer now." Goa'uld technology shrieking as staff weapons exchanged fire with P-90 automatic fire. The distinctive crack 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 of Earth weapons cutting through Jaffa ranks. "Defend this chamber," Ares ordered. "The weapon must not be reclaimed." Footsteps retreated. RoboCop lay motionless on the examination table, helpless, his only functional sensors picking up the approaching battle. He tried activating motor functions, nothing. Tried engaging vocal systems, corrupted beyond use. Tried anything that might signal the rescue team. The chamber doors exploded inward. Staff weapon blasts filled the air, answered by concentrated P-90 fire and the deeper discharge of TLCS weapon. Goa'uld technicians scattered. Some died. Others fled. "Murphy!" Carter's voice, beautiful in its urgency. Hands, human hands, touched his armor, scanner humming. "He's alive. Barely functional, but his core systems are intact. Can you move him?" O'Neill's voice, tactical and controlled despite the chaos. "Not without risk of complete shutdown. His power cells are at 9%. If we lose those, we lose whatever's left of Alex Murphy. Then we charge him here." O'Neill decided. "TLC, Daniel, hold this position. Carter, do whatever techno-magic you do. We're not leaving without him." RoboCop felt connections being made, Carter's portable Naquata generator interfacing with his charging port. Energy flowed into depleted cells. 10%. 15. 20. Systems began rebooting in sequence, priority protocols bringing critical functions online first. Motor control, 17% functionality. Optical sensors, 1 partially operational. Vocal systems minimal. Tactical computer. Corrupted but processing. "Murphy, can you hear me?" Carter's face appeared in his flickering visual field, concerned and determined. "Affirmative." RoboCop's voice emerged as static-laced whisper. "SG-1, shouldn't have risked." "Yeah, well, we don't abandon family," O'Neill interrupted, firing controlled bursts through the doorway. "Even stubborn cybernetic cops who think they're expendable." "Carter, how long?" 5 minutes to get him mobile. 10 for safe extraction. We've got about 3 before Ares brings his whole army down on us," Daniel reported from his defensive position. "This was supposed to be quick in and out." "Plans change." O'Neill grinned without humor. "Story of our lives." The corridors beyond erupted with sustained fire. Jaffa reinforcements arriving in battalion strength. TLCS staff weapon carved through their ranks, but numbers were overwhelming. Daniel's P-90 clicked empty. He reloaded, hands moving with practice speed born from too many desperate firefights. "Colonel, we cannot hold this position much longer," TLC stated, his calm voice belying the tactical disaster developing. RoboCop's systems reached 20%. Motor functions partially restored. He could move, barely. Could fight, minimally. Could serve one final purpose. "Major Carter." He forced his vocal systems to function. "Detach power cells. Use for explosives." "What?" "No." Carter's eyes widened. "Without power cells you'll die. Completely. No backup, no recovery." Mission priority. Destroy Ares's flagship. Save team. Each word cost processing power he barely had. I serve the public trust. Damn it, Murphy. He's right, O'Neill said quietly. The admission clearly hurt. If we can't extract him and can't let Ares have him, then we turn him into the biggest bomb this ship has ever seen. But he met RoboCop's partially functional optical sensor. We're not there yet. Carter, keep charging him. Murphy, you stay alive. That's an order. Understood, Colonel. The battle intensified. Jaffa pressed from 3 directions, staff weapons turning the corridor into a kill zone. Carter worked frantically, bypassing damaged systems, jury-rigging solutions with equipment never designed for Goa'uld mothership compatibility. Sweat dripped despite the ship's climate control. 35%, she announced. He can walk. Maybe fight. But one good hit and he's scrap. Then we don't let him get hit, O'Neill decided. He triggered his radio. Prometheus, this is O'Neill. We need immediate extraction, and the window's closing fast. Static, then a voice. Colonel Pendergast, commanding Earth's experimental warship. Copy, SG-1. We're engaging Ares's support vessels now. Ring transport ready on your signal, but you've got maybe 90 seconds before we're overwhelmed. Understood. Stand by. O'Neill turned to his team. Running retreat. TLC point. Daniel, watch R6. Carter, Murphy, center. Move! They burst from the chamber into controlled chaos. RoboCop moved on damaged servos, each step a calculated risk of complete failure. His tactical computer, working at fractional capacity, painted threat assessments and firing solutions. His Auto 9, miraculously still functional, rose with mechanical determination. 3 Jaffa rounded the corner. RoboCop's targeting system locked despite corruption. 3 shots. 3 bodies. His hand didn't shake, didn't miss. Some things transcended system damage. Nice shooting, O'Neill approved, adding his own fire to the suppression pattern. They fought through 2 corridors, a transport chamber, a storage bay. Bodies accumulated in their wake, Jaffa who served a false god, who died believing Ares divine. RoboCop's human consciousness mourned them even as his cybernetic systems calculated their elimination as tactical necessity. The ring transport chamber appeared ahead. 20 meters. 15. Ares materialized from a side passage, ribbon device glowing with lethal energy. The Karakesh discharged, invisible force slamming into TLC, throwing the Jaffa warrior against the bulkhead. Daniel and O'Neill opened fire, but Ares's personal shield absorbed the rounds, energy rippling across the barrier. You dare! Ares's voice thundered with wounded pride and fury. You dare attack a god in his own domain! I am Ares! I am war incarnate! I am... RoboCop fired. His Auto 9 round shouldn't have penetrated the personal shield. But the weapon's unique design, high-velocity penetrator rounds built to defeat body armor, found a frequency gap in Goa'uld technology. The shot struck Ares's shoulder, spinning him sideways. Not divine, RoboCop stated. Just parasite, in stolen body. Ares recovered, ribbon device rising for killing strike. But his hesitation, that fraction of a second spent processing that something had hurt him, cost everything. TLC surged upright, staff weapon discharging point blank. The blast caught Ares' center mass, energy overwhelming his shield, burning through host and symbiote alike. The System Lord collapsed, eyes dimming from glow to merely human confusion. The Goa'uld within was dying. The human host, enslaved for who knew how many centuries, surfaced for final moments. Thank you, the host whispered, human again at last, and died. Ring transport, now! O'Neill shouted. They piled into the transport chamber. Rings descended from above, energy field forming. Through his damaged sensors, RoboCop caught glimpses of Jaffa pouring into the corridor, staff weapons raised, Herak screaming orders for the rings to be shut down. Too late. The transport engaged. Reality shifted. They rematerialized aboard Prometheus, Earth's warship, already banking hard to escape Goa'uld fire. The deck shuddered under weapons impacts. All aboard, Colonel Pendergast, O'Neill confirmed. Hang on. Pendergast's voice carried through ship-wide comms. Going to hyperspace. 3, 2, 1. The viewports erupted with blue-white light as Prometheus jumped to faster-than-light travel, leaving Ares' fleet behind in normal space. Alarms silenced. Weapons powered down. They'd escaped. Medical team to ring transport chamber, Pendergast ordered. And someone tell me what the hell we just pulled off. Carter knelt beside RoboCop, who'd collapsed the moment rings completed transport. His systems showed 31% power, multiple critical failures, but stable. Stable enough. We killed the System Lord, she said, disbelief and relief mixing. Ares is dead. His fleet will fracture without leadership. And Murphy. She met his flickering optical sensor. You saved us. Again. Mission objective. RoboCop's voice faded as non-critical systems shut down to conserve power. Team safe? Yeah, O'Neill said quietly, watching medical teams surround the fallen cybernetic officer. Yeah, Murphy. Team safe. Because of you. As consciousness faded, Alex Murphy's last thought wasn't tactical assessment or threat analysis. It was simpler, more human. He'd found his purpose. He'd found his team. And for a cop from Detroit who died serving and protecting, that was enough. The weeks following Ares' death transformed Stargate Command in subtle ways. NID withdrew their acquisition attempts after Hammond's scathing report on their interference during active operations. The TOCRA formalized intelligence-sharing protocols with Earth. And Ares' fragmented fleet descended into civil war as lesser Goa'uld fought over his territories, too busy destroying each other to threaten the Tauri. RoboCop stood in Carter's workshop, watching her make final adjustments to his rebuilt systems. 3 weeks of intensive repair had restored him to 96% operational capacity, higher than he'd functioned since arriving through the Stargate. New armor plating covered the worst damage. Enhanced power cells provided 40% greater endurance. And his targeting computer had been upgraded with protocols that integrated Goa'uld threat assessment into his tactical database. That should do it. Carter stepped back, satisfied. You're not just repaired, you're improved. The Naquata integration actually makes you more efficient than OCP's original design. Acknowledged. Your technical expertise continues to exceed projections, Major. RoboCop flexed his rebuilt shoulder, servos operating with smooth precision. Question: the improvements represent significant resource investment. Why? Carter smiled. Because you're worth it, Murphy. You've proven yourself 3 times over. And honestly, having someone around who can survive what you've survived makes the rest of us feel a little safer. I was designed for law enforcement, not military operations. And yet here you are, fighting false gods across the galaxy. She began packing her tools. You've adapted, Murphy. More than adapted, you've thrived. That's not just programming. That's you. The workshop door opened. Daniel entered carrying a data tablet, excitement evident in his posture. Murphy, you need to see this. We finally decrypted the ancient database from P3X797. RoboCop's optical sensors focused on the tablet's display. Ancient text scrolled past, accompanied by holographic schematics that depicted cybernetic organisms remarkably similar to his own construction. The ancients pursued organic-synthetic integration extensively, Daniel confirmed. They viewed it as potential evolutionary path before choosing ascension. The research is incredibly advanced. Neural interface designs, consciousness preservation techniques, even theories on maintaining human identity within mechanical framework. He looked up, meeting RoboCop's gaze. They wrestled with the same questions you face. What defines personhood when the body changes? How much organic tissue constitutes humanity? Can consciousness exist independent of flesh? Their conclusion? That consciousness and identity transcend physical form. Whether organic, mechanical, or energy-based, what matters is the continuity of self. The choices made. The values upheld. Daniel smiled gently. You're not an aberration, Murphy. You're proof the ancients were right. RoboCop processed this, his systems running through implications that struck deeper than tactical analysis. The ancients, beings who'd achieved technological and evolutionary heights humanity could barely comprehend, had validated his existence not as weapon or tool, but as legitimate form of life. The data could benefit OCP cybernetics research, RoboCop observed. If I could return to my universe with such information. We're working on it, Carter interjected. The dimensional breach that brought you here left residual signatures. I've been analyzing them with help from the Asgard. Thor thinks we might be able to recreate the effect deliberately. Send you home. Timeline estimate? Carter hesitated. 6 months. Maybe a year. The mathematics alone are staggering, and we need to build equipment that doesn't exist yet. She met his gaze. But we will figure it out, Murphy. We promise to help you get home, and we keep our promises. Appreciated, Major Carter. RoboCop paused, processing emotions his systems weren't designed to handle. However, immediate return may not serve optimal outcome. What do you mean? Daniel asked. My presence here provides tactical advantage to SGC operations. My capabilities complement SG-1's operational doctrine. And Earth faces ongoing threats requiring specialized response. RoboCop's synthesized voice carried something new. Not just programming, but choice. I could serve effectively here while dimensional transit research continues. You want to stay? Carter sounded surprised and pleased. I want to continue serving the public trust. Protecting the innocent. Upholding the law. RoboCop's human eyes reflected something that might have been peace. Location is irrelevant to mission parameters. Here or Detroit, the principles remain constant. Plus you'd miss us? Daniel grinned. Emotional attachment protocols non-operational, RoboCop stated. Then, almost too quietly for his vocal synthesizer. However, team integration has proven satisfactory. The moment was interrupted by O'Neill's voice over the intercom. SG-1 and Murphy to briefing room. We've got a situation. They assembled quickly. Hammond stood at the briefing room display, showing sensor data from a MALP probe. O'Neill, TLC, and several SG team leaders were already present. Reconnaissance on P4X639 has detected a crashed Goa'uld Teltac. Hammond began. Preliminary scans suggest it's been there for weeks, possibly abandoned. But there's also evidence of recent Jaffa activity. We need eyes on the ground to determine if it's salvageable and what they're looking for. Standard recovery op? O'Neill asked. With complications. The planet has unstable Naquata deposits. Too much weapons fire could trigger a chain reaction. We need precision, not firepower. O'Neill glanced at RoboCop. Think you can handle a stealth mission, Murphy? Or are you more of a walk through the front door shooting kind of cop? Detroit Police Department training included tactical infiltration protocols. I am mission capable for covert operations. Good, because you're coming with us. O'Neill pulled up mission specs. SG-1 plus Murphy. 48 hours max secure the Teltac, determine Jaffa objectives, extract before anyone knows we were there. When do we leave? Carter asked. 2 hours. Full gear, minimal ammunition due to the Naquata risk. Murphy, that means your Auto 9 stays here. We're going quiet on this one. RoboCop accessed his upgraded tactical protocols. Operating without primary weapon represented significant capability reduction, but mission parameters required adaptation. Understood, Colonel. Alternative armament? Zad gun, TLC suggested. 1 shot stuns, 2 kills, 3 disintegrates. No explosive risk. Acceptable. RoboCop ran probability matrices. Covert insertion, unknown enemy strength, environmental hazards, equipment limitations. Estimated mission success, 73%. Estimated team casualties, 22%. Standard operational parameters for SG-1 assignments. He was learning their odds were always terrible. And they succeeded anyway. Dismissed, Hammond concluded. And SG-1? Try to bring Murphy back in one piece this time. Major Carter's getting tired of rebuilding him. I heard that, sir. Carter called after the general's retreating form. 2 hours later, RoboCop stood in the gate room, wearing modified tactical gear and carrying a Zatniktel that felt awkward in his mechanically precise hands. SG-1 performed final equipment checks with their usual mixture of professionalism and casual banter. First covert op. O'Neill commented. Nervous? Nervousness requires emotional response systems. I possess tactical concern regarding mission variables. That's Jack speak for yes, I'm nervous. Daniel translated, adjusting his pack. Indeed, TLC agreed, the word carrying his characteristic dry humor. RoboCop's targeting computer painted familiar faces across his HUD, tactical data, threat assessments, combat capabilities. But underneath the mechanical analysis, Alex Murphy recognized something more fundamental. These weren't just operators or assets. They were his team. His friends, perhaps, in whatever way a being like him could claim friendship. The Stargate activated, chevrons locking in sequence, event horizon blossoming with its familiar shimmer. RoboCop no longer experienced system shock at the sight. Gate travel had become routine, another tool in service of his mission. Let's move out, O'Neill ordered. They walked through together. RoboCop's last view of the SGC gate room captured technicians at their stations, Hammond observing from the control room window, the familiar organized chaos of an installation that had become, impossibly, home. Rematerialization on P4X639 brought alien sky and unknown dangers. RoboCop's sensors swept the terrain, cataloging threats, calculating tactics, preparing for whatever challenges awaited. His systems functioned at peak efficiency. His power cells registered optimal charge. His team moved with coordinated precision beside him. Somewhere in Detroit, in another universe, Ellen and Jimmy Murphy continued their lives without him. Somewhere back on Earth, OCP's corporate interests continued unchecked. But here, on an alien world access to impossible technology, Alex Murphy served again with purpose and pride. He was RoboCop. He was Officer Alex Murphy. He served the public trust, protected the innocent, upheld the law. And for the first time since OCP rebuilt him, those directives felt less like programming and more like choice. The mission awaited. The galaxy held countless threats. But SG-1 stood ready, and Murphy stood with them. Contact ahead, TLC reported quietly, staff weapon charging. Jaffa Patrol. 6 warriors. O'Neill signaled tactical positions. The team scattered to cover. RoboCop moved silently despite his armored bulk, servo motors whisper quiet after Carter's upgrades. His targeting computer painted firing solutions even without the Auto 9. They were a long way from Detroit's streets. But some things remained constant. The mission, the team, the commitment to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. RoboCop settled into position, Zat gun ready, and allowed himself something that might have been satisfaction. He'd found his place. Not just a weapon. Not just property. But a guardian standing between innocent lives and galactic threats. And that purpose, that choice, made all the difference. The weeks became months, and months shaped into a rhythm Alex Murphy hadn't thought possible when he first crashed through the SGC's Iris. 16 missions across the Gate network. 3 System Lord encounters. Countless firefights on worlds whose names he cataloged in memory banks that would never forget. And through it all, SG-1, his team, remained constant. Carter's workshop had become his second home, a place where damaged systems met brilliant engineering and somehow emerged stronger. She'd integrated ancient technology with his OCP framework so seamlessly that the distinction between original construction and alien enhancement had blurred. He was still RoboCop, still Alex Murphy, but also something new, a bridge between human determination and technologies that spanned galaxies. Daniel had taught him that exploration meant more than tactical assessment. That ancient civilizations held wisdom beyond weapon specifications. That understanding culture could prevent conflicts his Auto-9 could only answer with violence. They spent hours discussing philosophy, what constituted consciousness, whether Murphy's 4% organic tissue made him more human than beings who descended to pure energy, how identity persisted through transformation. TLC had shown him that warriors could be more than their programming. The Jaffa had spent decades believing lies, serving false gods, committing atrocities in the name of divinity. Yet he'd chosen rebellion. Chosen freedom. Chosen to be more than what others made him. Their sparring sessions, careful calibrations of staff weapon against titanium armor, had become meditations on honor and redemption. And O'Neill, Jack, had simply treated him like any other member of the team. No special consideration for his mechanical nature. No hesitation about sending him into danger. No doubt that Murphy would have his back when things went sideways. That matter-of-fact acceptance meant more than algorithms could quantify. The dimensional research continued. Carter and the Asgard had made breakthrough after breakthrough, mapping the exotic physics that had pulled Murphy across realities. Thor himself had expressed fascination with the cybernetic integration, comparing it favorably to Asgard cloning technology. High praise from a race whose civilization was dying from inability to maintain physical form. Return to Detroit was possible now. Not easy, not guaranteed safe, but possible. Within 6 months, maybe less, they could open a controlled gateway back to Murphy's universe. Back to OCP's corporate ownership. Back to streets where he died and been resurrected. Back to a son who thought his father dead. But every time Hammond asked if he wanted to accelerate the timeline, Murphy found reasons to delay. One more mission. One more threat to neutralize. One more world to protect. The excuses were tactical and logical and completely transparent to everyone who knew him. He wasn't ready to leave. Might never be ready to leave. Through the SGC's corridors, personnel no longer startled at his approach. They nodded greetings. Asked about his missions. Treated him as colleague rather than curiosity. Even the NID had stopped sending acquisition requests after Barrett's career-ending attempt to steal ancient technology from a different SG team. Murphy had helped expose that operation, his recording systems providing irrefutable evidence. It was satisfying in ways his prime directives couldn't quite explain. On a Tuesday evening, Earth time, though the gate network operated on no such schedule, RoboCop stood in the gate room during maintenance cycle. The Stargate sat dormant, chevrons dark, awaiting the next set of coordinates that would activate its impossible bridge across light years. Technicians performed routine diagnostics. The facility hummed with the quiet efficiency of an operation that had saved Earth dozens of times without most of humanity ever knowing. Thinking about home? Hammond's voice came from behind him. The general had developed the unnerving habit of appearing when Murphy's processing cycles turned philosophical. Analyzing mission parameters, sir. Strategic value of continued SGC integration versus potential benefits of return to original universe. That's a very complicated way of saying you're homesick but not sure which home you mean anymore. Hammond stood beside him, studying the silent gate. For what it's worth, Murphy, you've earned your place here. SG-1's mission success rate increased 17% since you joined. Casualty rates dropped 12%. And morale. He smiled slightly. Turns out having an indestructible cop watching their backs makes people feel safer. I am not indestructible, sir. Recent mission reports document significant damage requiring extensive repair. But you keep getting back up. Keep serving. Keep protecting. Hammond turned to face him fully. That's not programming, Murphy. That's character. Alex Murphy's character surviving in a body that OCP tried to turn into a weapon. You're proof that humanity isn't about flesh, it's about choices. RoboCop's optical sensors focused on the general. The ancients reached similar conclusion in their research. Smart people, the ancients. Even if they did leave dangerous toys scattered across the galaxy. Hammond checked his watch. SG-1 has another mission in 36 hours. P7J989. Potential gold weapons cache. Could be valuable, could be trapped. Jack specifically requested you for the team. I will be prepared, sir. I know you will. Hammond headed for the stairs, then paused. Murphy? When you're ready to go home, really ready, we'll make it happen. But until then, you've got a place here for as long as you want it. After the general departed, RoboCop remained in the silent gate room. His systems ran through memory files. That first violent arrival, the team's wary acceptance, battles fought and won, lives saved across worlds he never imagined exploring. And underneath the tactical data, Alex Murphy's consciousness recognized something he'd lost when OCP rebuilt him, purpose that came from choice rather than programming. Detroit would always be part of him. Ellen and Jimmy would always matter. The streets he'd patrolled and the badge he'd carried would forever shape his identity. But here, light years from Earth's cities, serving alongside teammates who'd become family, he'd discovered something unexpected. He'd found himself again. Not the cop who died. Not the machine OCP created. But something that honored both, Alex Murphy, who served the public trust across galaxies. Who protected innocence on worlds whose names humans were just learning. Who upheld laws that transcended any single planet's jurisdiction. Who'd become more than the sum of his organic and mechanical parts. The Stargate would activate soon. Another mission. Another threat. Another opportunity to prove that consciousness and identity survived any transformation if the core remained true. RoboCop turned from the gate room, servos carrying him toward Carter's workshop where final pre-mission upgrades awaited. His power cells registered optimal charge. His systems functioned at peak efficiency. His targeting computer painted the corridor ahead with tactical data that had become second nature. And somewhere in the 4% of organic tissue that remained, Alex Murphy smiled. He served the public trust. He protected the innocent. He upheld the law. And he did it by choice, with a team that valued him, on a mission that mattered more than corporate profit or urban pacification statistics. The galaxy was vast. Threats were endless. The Goa'uld still schemed, the replicators still threatened, and countless civilizations still needed defenders who wouldn't abandon them when facing overwhelming odds. Good thing SG-1 specialized in impossible missions. And good thing they had a cop from Detroit who'd already survived the impossible and come back ready for more. The stars awaited. The gate stood ready. And Officer Alex Murphy, RoboCop, cybernetic guardian, SG-1's most durable member, was exactly where he belonged. Indeed. Hit the subscribe button for more stories. Thank you for watching.